So when you think of God, do you typically think of him as a boss that you need to please, or a lawgiver that wants us to be good, or maybe a judge that knows we're guilty? Or how about a father that loves you? I hope the last one, because that is a significant part of your identity in Christ. You and I used to be estranged from God. We were actually called enemies of God. But when we put our trust in Christ, we had an identity change and we became his children, his daughters and sons in Christ. Since we are identified with Christ's death and resurrection, we are identified with his position as the Son of God. We are God's children because we are identified with Christ. Check out what he says in Ephesians. Ephesians 1, 5-6 says, He predestined us to adoption as sons through Jesus Christ to himself, according to the kind intention of his will, to the praise of the glory of his grace, which he freely bestowed on us in the beloved. So there's a few implications of this. Since we are his children now, that's our identity in Christ as being his children, you are very precious to him. You are special. You are beloved. It actually says in Zephaniah 3:17 in the Old Testament that God sings over us. Check out what it says in Romans 8. For all who are being led by the Spirit of God, these are the sons of God. For you have not received a spirit of slavery leading to fear again, but you have received a spirit of adoption as sons, by which we cry out, Abba, Father. The Spirit himself testifies with our spirit that we are children of God, and of children, heirs also, heirs of God and fellow heirs with Christ, if indeed we suffer with him, so that we may also be glorified with him. So the words Abba, Father, mean dear Dad. It's a very intimate and affectionate way of referring to God, and you can refer to God that way. You can relate to God that way because you are his child in Christ. That is your identity. Another implication of this idea of being a child of God is that we are accepted. We are accepted in the beloved. Now, if you think about it, we're constantly looking for acceptance and affirmation from other people throughout our lives. I mean, it's very common. We are looking for acceptance based on what we do, based on our jobs, based on our material possessions, the clothing we wear, what our bodies look like, all kinds of things. And if you understand that you are the adopted child of God, you'll understand that you are accepted by the one whose opinion really matters. The truth is that everybody else we look for acceptance from is also looking for acceptance. And nobody else has authority to name us or to give us an identity or to say we are accepted or not, because we're all on the same playing field. Except God, of course. He is our creator, and he is the one that has the authority and the right to tell us who we are and whether or not we're accepted. And he says we are 100% accepted because we're in Christ and we are his beloved children. Once you grasp that, once that gets from your head down into your heart, you will be secure. You will be at peace because you are accepted by the one whose opinion matters the most. Colossians 3 says, Therefore, if you have been raised up with Christ, keep seeking the things above, where Christ is, seated at the right hand of God. Set your mind on things above, not on things that are on the earth. For you have died, and your life is hidden with Christ in God. When Christ, who is our life, is revealed, then you also will be revealed with him in glory. So take a little bit of time to process this. How do you relate to God? Do you relate to him again as your boss, or as the lawgiver, or as your judge, or as your father? Because he says you are his adopted child. And remember that you are precious to him, you are 100% accepted, but it's all by grace, not because you in and of yourself are so great. And so that will leave you confident and yet humble at the same time. Also ask yourself, what ways do you seek the acceptance of other people? Do you feel that you need to get other people's approval and affirmation in order to feel like you're worth something or like you're a somebody? Take some time to reflect on what God says is true about you as His child and the acceptance that you have in Christ. You are loved and accepted to the same degree that Jesus Christ is because you're in Christ. Take some time to think through that, pray about it, and be blessed.